Welcome, Facebook fam, YouTube fam, and Instagram fam. Thank you all for tuning in. Y'all know I'm still working, working this tech stuff. But nonetheless, welcome to another edition of Female Barber Talk with Yah-Tay. I'm getting it together. TikTok fam, thank y'all for joining. I greatly appreciate you all for tuning in. Instagram fam, I appreciate y'all for hanging in there with me, as well as YouTube and what else? Facebook. Preferably soon, I'll be on all the platforms. Let me know if you can hit me on TikTok. Um, I think last session or the session before, no one could hear. Still haven't figured out how to get, more, add a guest on. Got a lot going on. Just bear with me. But nonetheless, welcome to another edition of Female Barber Talk with Yataye. I hadn't even put out the promo material this week. It's been just that hectic and busy. Lots going on for me. But you know what? I'm grateful. That's all I say. I'm grateful. Tuning in. This is episode number 35. Can you believe it? I'm at 35. We're in the ninth month of the year, and a year it has been thus far. But nonetheless, we're doing episode number 35. Uh, Female Barber Talk with Yah-Tay. I am a Yataye Navy veteran, certified life coach, barber stylist, award-winning author. I thought of my book, A Heritage of Hair. You can get it. Just scan the QR code, depending on what platform you're on. Just scan the QR code or go to the link in the bio for it. But I am award-winning author of the book, A Heritage of Hair. And for many of you don't know, I am a trained paraprofessional who worked, I'm still counting because I still work with children at the shop. So when I transitioned into barbering full time, I was right at 16 years. So now it's over 20. But be that as it may, I have 20 years of experience serving children of all abilities. So y'all remember in episode, I'll tell you the name in just a minute. Hold on. Let me get this tickler up. I'm going to go ahead and take this off the screen. But nonetheless, in episode 31, that's been some time, right? But it's okay. I refresh your memory. We discussed the idea of considering a barber school. If you're out there and you're considering barber school, check out episode 31 of Female Barber Talk with Yah-Tay. I give some great tips for those of you who are considering it. I share some, insight, some TikTok vids, as well as some of my own, personal story and information of me getting to that point. But nonetheless, episode 31 is about considering barber school. Episode 32, we explored the first 30 days of barber school and what that's like. I shared with you all what it was like for me, my kid. I shared some things. So both videos have about 5 tips each. I don't have um, my notes from then because I normally go over them, but it's been a few episodes ago and I don't have them with me. But I do have tonight's notes because I want to be, will be intentional about the information I'm bringing forth with tonight's episode. So with that, today we are shifting to the bigger picture. Your first year in barber school. For some, it'll be your first year. If you're in high school, normally it's a 2-year program. Some may even be a 3-year program. And if you're taking it at a local institute, a local community, what they call trade school, or even local beauty institute, or academy or school, then it could be a minimum of maybe 9, 10 months to up to 18 months, depending on if you're going full-time, part-time. If you don't miss some hours, we talked about that in both episode 31 and 32. If you've missed hours, then you got to make up the hours. So I'm going to talk from experience of having been in barber school, um, uh, provide some insight, and but more or less, I'm going to give you about 5 talking points that I'm going to share as it relates to tonight's topic, episode 35, which is beyond the basics, what to expect in your first year of barber school. So not only will I talk a little bit about barber school, but I also kind of dive in a little bit with after barber school, kind of getting into state board. I got some things that I'm going to share with you in reference to that, or should I say reference material, and also some of my experience from that time, as well as just talk about some first year stuff and prepping for that. With that being said, I do encourage those of you, if you know somebody who's considering barber school, to check out episode 31. If you know somebody that's in barber school already, they've just recently started, episode 32 would be good for them, because I give some 5 key points that talk about the first 30 days and also some things to begin to consider as they progress through their program. For me, I went to barber school locally here at YPI. It's called YPI. It's short for Your Professional Image School of Barber. Your Professional Image School of Barbering. There on West Beltline, and I went there. Um, I attended the barber school for Master Hair Care, which is under the Barber entity here in the state of South Carolina. It's similar in that to a cosmetologist. The difference is we don't do makeup, we don't do acrylic nails, and we get to use razors, whereas cosmetologists use the covered razors for razoring hair. But we actually get to use straight razor to groom the face, do head shaving, and things along that line. Those are just a few that pop out, um, readily for me. But in all actuality, I am similar in that of a cosmetologist, except for on the barbering side. So to get into this first year in barber school, this is where your foundation transforms into your skills, confidence, and preparation for the industry. So, the first thing that I want to talk about is growth and repetition. There's going to be a lot of things learned, a lot of things you're taking in, but the key, honestly, is going to be repetition. That's going to help you to build that skill, begin to master that skill, and undergird you with confidence, because the more reps you do, the better you get. In my case, I didn't get as many reps doing school because y'all know I went through doing COVID. So I did a lot of online and video stuff that I shared with y'all in episode 32, of some of the things that we had to do and turn in to show that we were still, progressing along and could demonstrate what it was that we needed to demonstrate. So with that, the first point that I want to discuss of the 5 points tonight is about growth and repetition. The first year student often feel stuck, but repetition is the key to mastery. I'll give you for instance, like repeating cuts on mannequin. I got a mannequin that I cut in doing state board. I'm going to show y'all the mannequin that I cut doing state board because I still got it. I'm also going to show you two mannequin heads. One that's like a dry erase board per se, that I use to mark on to, help me with different things. And also one that I actually cut down and I drew a line, which I got to give a shout out to my mentor, Mr. Ronnie. He was the one that talked to me about this. And I had an extra mannequin that I had already cut off, going through a lot of sessions with him to prepare for state board. And we actually drew the lines. So you got high fade, you got a high ball fade, or a fade that is considered high. We put a line in for that. We put a line in for medium, somebody that wants a mid fade. And then we put a line in for low fade. We lined off the occipital bone and then various points on the back of the head where individuals may want that line to flow or drop. So I have that mannequin here. So repeating cuts on mannequins until you achieve that consistency. Some schools do require that you have X amount of hours before actually getting onto the floor. Some schools, you get on the floor in conjunction with going through each chapter. You may start out, maybe not the first 30 days, but shortly after that, you're on the floor. So you're not only getting the theory, but also getting the practical application, and you're able to see right away how things are, or how they relate, or how they apply to what it is that you're learning. And also I personally think doing it that way, I don't know if it's a state law that you got to have a certain amount of hours before you get on the floor. If so, it could be different in different states, but you want to check with your school and of course LRR and your state jurisdiction to know what those guidelines and regulations are for getting on the floor. So with that, cutting on the mannequins and how they have them, I forgot to bring my other one because many of them do come with long hair, and you can get, like, I don't know, depending on what you're doing, 10 haircuts out of them if you're going through the different cuts. But cutting on the mannequin or starting on the mannequin, which is where many of us start. You don't go straight to the head first. You're starting on the mannequin, you're working that mannequin, you're learning how to, you hold them shears, okay, hold the shears, hold the clipper, your combs and all of those different things during that time. So with that, you're doing a lot of work on the mannequin, and then you're observing processes by comparing them month to month, or I would say you should. So take, for instance, you get your first cut, and I'm gonna show y'all some of my first cuts. But in that, you do your first cut, you take a picture of it so you're able to see your progress as you go through the months that you're in school. And then recognizing also too that every client, including your mannequin, because your mannequin is technically your nonverbal client, offers valuable lessons. So speaking of that, I'm going to jump into showing you all the one mannequin head that I said that we use. And my instructor, Mr. T, was so gracious to help us set these up at school for those of us who wanted to. He got the paint, all of that. So I'm gonna show you. He got the paint where we can, literally draw on it. I got the one with the beard because I also used it for shaving. I don't know if y'all can see that mark, but yeah, there we go. So of course I got my little eraser. It comes off, but that he got us to paint where we can mark up, talk about it, whatever needed to be talked about. The hairline, the C cup, the beard, the sideburns, the apex, the occipital bone, the parietal ridge, all of those different things. So I really used it then. Um, I don't have a whole lot of use for it at this moment, but when I start teaching, I will. I'm actually teaching now, meaning when I get in an instructor position, I'll be able to maximize this too. So the other head that I was telling you all about, let me grab it real quick, was the one I talked about with my mentor, Mr. Ronnie. So I had been doing a lot of practices, and eventually we cut all the hair off the mannequin. We eventually cut all the hair off down to, I guess they call this a buzz. You see how that is? But as you can see, you notice the lines here, high, medium, and low. Okay. And then you'll also see a few marks in there here for like your high and tights. Those are military cuts. Anytime somebody come into the shop and they say they want a high and tight, guess what? I always ask if they military, because more often than not, military guys get the high and tight. Not always, but probably 8 times out of 10, it's a military personnel. But also, on the back, if you can see the low, medium, under the occipital bone, those types of things. And depending on the head shape of the person, you want to ensure that your lines um, enhance, accents, or go with the flow of the head, because it makes for a nice looking cut that's precise to that individual's head shape. But this is one that we used. And like I said, we end up putting the lines in so I can know the difference between high, medium, and low. So that's also going to vary on the person's head. And it's also going to vary high, medium, and low from an adult to a child, or a child to an adult head as well, or a large head or a small head. You know what I'm saying? So these are just guidelines that show you if that person wants a high fade, medium fade, or low fade. So in that, you get growth through repetition, and I'm gonna show you all some of the fades that I did, or some of the cuts and things that I was doing when I actually started out. So let me pull in a few of my first cuts. Let you see those. Thank you, TikTok fam, for joining. I greatly appreciate it. Here is one of my first cuts that I did. Of course, it was a Caesar or even all over cut. You can tell that I was very new with it, but nonetheless, this was one of my first cuts. This is another one of my first cuts here. Let's pull that in so you can see it as well. That was another one of my first cuts, and of course, it was another Caesar. So what I share with you all, when I actually got onto the floor, we started out doing bald heads and beards. And the reason being, my instructors told us that they are some bald heads are some of the most challenging cuts. One, because you got to have that razor angle in the proper way, as not to cause an accident or injury, or even hurt somebody. I'm gonna just say that, hurt somebody with the razor. So we practice on balloons with shaving cream, and we know you quote unquote killed the person if that balloon popped. So if you could get through the whole entire shave on the balloon without popping it, then you did an excellent job. So we utilize that. We also cut each other's hair. I cut some of my barber's hair at the time, I guess you would call them co-barbers, students in the class, allowed me to practice on them. So what I do want to share about that, some of the do this, is to cut the same fade on a mannequin for 10 to 15 times and take progress pics. So if you're utilizing your mannequin and you're starting out with longer hair and you're gradually getting to shorter hair, you want to consistently take pictures so that you can see what your progress is. You can get a number of cuts. Why does this matter? Because you want to see the improvement, and improvement builds confidence. Okay. The second thing that you want to do is practice your clipper over comb 10 minutes or more daily before class or after class. Some folks walk around, like this, or they walk around. We used to have to do this, kind of getting a feel, especially those of us who are new. Many of the guys could cut, so they knew how to hold the clippers. But for me, I had to get used to holding them and working them, and from the standpoint of muscle memory, so that I can know what to do when, hold on, I got to my mannequin. Let me take this down so y'all can see it. Hold on. So when I got, to the mannequin, I wasn't like this here. I wasn't like this here. I was literally laying the clippers flush on the head, and making and coming up, riding ahead. But I had to get used to it because it was something that I wasn't familiar with, didn't know what to do or how to do, for that matter. So you want to practice using your tools, so that helps you to build muscle memory. Um, Again, why does it matter? Repetition creates muscle memory, and I just said it. But repetition creates muscle memory. And cut a classmate's hair, um, once a week, every 2 weeks. You see if you can get them in the chair. Get them in the chair. That'll help you out, especially if you don't have consistent clients coming in from the community. Um, they aren't aware of what you do. But most barbershop schools that are in the community, they do pretty good advertising, so many individuals know that you're there, and they come in doing school operation hours to maximize the services of students. And many of them know, because it's given, it's said. Oftentimes schools have them sign a waiver, knowing that you're having your services done by a student with the supervision of the instructor. So they know, and they get really good deals. Some charge 7, some charge 8, some charge 9. It really just depends on where you are and where you're located. So cutting the classmates' hair once a week. Why does this matter? Guess what? Real heads teach you things that mannequins cannot teach you. Besides, the human head, they'll talk to you, whereas the mannequin, they're just gonna look at you like you're crazy. But nonetheless, so before I go into the next one of building clients' confidence, I'm gonna share with you all. So I gotta tell y'all this. So when I was practicing, that's how well I got getting practice in, and getting assistance from my mentor, who was helping me to prep for state board. Then when I got to state board, y'all, you got to see the haircutting video the video series that I put together. And I'll talk more about that when we get into the fourth topic. But nonetheless, this is the mannequin that I did for State Board. Y'all see that? I I plugged them up over on this side, y'all. It's not the neatest, but I got the job done. Can you see that? I got the job done. But this was the mannequin head that I cut for State Board. Y'all see that? Yeah. Anywho, that's the one that I did. Let's move into topic number 2. So, building clients' confidence. The first year is when you start cutting real people regularly. So, sometimes um, you'll get people that come in and stick with you. Sometimes they'll come in and they want to try somebody else. Uh, but whenever a client gets in your chair, the key is building their confidence. And how you build their confidence is you having confidence in your skills as well. And I want to share this, not just your skills, but your soft skills, your people skills, your communication skills. And you've probably heard this before. You can not cut a lick, but if you make that client feel good while they're in the chair with you, and you take care of them to the best of your ability, many of them will grow with you. I'm going to say grow with you. I have clients to this day that have grown with me. So it happens. So with that, learning to communicate effectively with clients about their haircut expectations. So if there's something that you know they may not be able to achieve or get because of their texture, their length, the density of their hair, or whatever it may be, you want to be able to communicate that to them. Developing trust is another thing through the number of clients who sit in your chair. Not only do you develop trust with them, they develop trust with you as well. And that trust comes from you listening to them, not making the haircut your own, but making the haircut what it is that they they desire, unless you're rendering professional advice. Another thing is handling mistakes with professionalism rather than fear. I give an example. Um, I was cutting a gentleman this week, and I was using my trimmers. I'm pretending like these trimmers. So I was going around the neck, and I did not see a small skin tag. Oftentimes, I'm very, very mindful. More times than none, I'm very, very mindful of them because I have moles on my neck and stuff. But anyway, um, I went across it, and it started to bleed, and I had to let the client know, hey, I nicked you with the trimmers. And I got the mirror and I showed it to him. It was like, oh, it's okay, it happens. As a professional, I still got to let you know, because I don't want you to get in the car and then all of a sudden you see this little red spot on your shirt and you trying to figure out, well, what happened? Where did that come from? Handling mistakes with professionalism rather than fear. Own up to them, let them know. 9 times out of 10, they've had something happen to them, in the barbershop. So, not that they expect it to happen, they know that things happen. So, for lack of, I won't say better words, but encouraging words, they know that things happen. So, if you address whatever the situation is professionally, um, it, you'll see too that they're able to, it'll go over well. I'll just say that. So do this. Greet clients with eye contact, handshake, fist bump, and repeat their requests. So I give an example. When we were in school, Anytime that doorbell rang, or when the door opened, a buzzer would go off, whether they were coming in or out. We would always have to say, good morning, good afternoon, greetings, whatever the salutation was, welcome to YPI. Or when they were leaving, all right, thank you for visiting YPI. And, they would go on about their business. But nonetheless, you want to greet the clients with eye contact. Don't act like you don't see them. They see you. Don't be like, you see me, I don't see you, but I see you. Anyway, greet clients with eye contact, handshake, especially if they're coming to you for service. After they've checked in, you want to greet them, bump fists, whatever it is that y'all do, especially if you know them. Oftentimes, my clients are reaching out for hugs, especially my little ones. They are. So I greet them as such. And then you repeat the request. You repeat what it is that they want, because that ensures proper communication, and that what they're asking for, you understand it, especially if you're able to repeat it back to them in your own words. And oftentimes it's good for them to hear it, because they learn the lingo and what's the proper names of how to say. Well, let me take that back, because my one little one, he calls his shape up a line up space line. So I have to call it a space line when I'm talking to him. But nonetheless, communication is the key, and that's how we build that trust. So why does this matter? Clear communication, once again, builds trust. You also want to do this: stay calm if you make a mistake, and explain to them that you'll fix it. And if you aren't, it can be fixed. I was told in barber school that there's no quote unquote bad haircuts. It's just unfinished, because it can be corrected. It may have to change to a different haircut. Like, take for instance, um, one of my young clients has been getting this same drop ball fade with his two lines on the side for like the last, ooh, maybe 6 months now. It's something that he loves. He's been getting it for the last 6 months. His dad come in, the usual. Okay, we know what the usual. I bring this up because today we couldn't get the usual. Because guess what? He was moving. So instead of my line being dropped here, it was up a little bit. So I had to, take it up. And I said, hey, we're not getting your usual today. We're getting a slight variation of the usual. This is why. And when I called dad back, I let dad know, but he knows, his son is autistic, and that's not to make it as an excuse, but oftentimes they are a little more, um, they move a little bit more than the average child. And I don't want to make it seem like it's a bad or good, but it's just the differences in how they sit or don't sit, and you have to be able to move with them, which is another reason why I use um, cordless a lot with children. But I will say my Andis T-liners went out today. My cordless T-liners went out again. So I got to send them back, because the knob on the front of my trimmers is shorting. So I got to send it back. So I end up having to plug them in, and the cord only reaches so far. But nonetheless, we got it done. I had to make some adjustments, and in that I had to fix that, explain to the dad why we didn't get the regular today. So why does that matter? Because professionalism matters more than perfection. Okay, professionalism matters. Another thing we want to do is Give one aftercare tips, brushing, oiling the scalp, maintenance on the cut, especially when it comes down to sponging. A lot of our young people do the sponging of the hair, whether they use the new rubber sponge or the rubber sponge or the sponge sponge. Hold on, let me grab it because I got both of them. Okay, so these are my personal ones, and my barber be mad at me to show y'all this, but anywho, it still work. So the rubber sponge, I have a small one and a larger one. The reason why I use this one with my clients is because you can disinfect, sanitize, and disinfect it. Okay, it's rubber. You can clean it. Whereas with the sponges, I stopped using these as soon as I found out about these. Even though with these sponges, I still would, clean them to the best of my ability, but they grab the hair, they collect hair. And if you aren't diligent about cleaning them and using some type of brush to get the hair out of them prior to utilizing it on the next client and spraying it and, disinfecting it, then guess what? uh you're gonna have everybody hair in it. I never really was a fan of it unless it was for my own personal use. But in that, um, this is a maintenance or a tip that I give because oftentimes those who use it, they are sponge, and they don't comb the hair out. Well, if you continue to sponge, eventually it's going to pop. So I would share with my clients who sponge, rubber sponge, regular sponge, or y'all don't pick at my sponge, the handy dandy sponge here, literally handy dandy. And this one has it on both sides. And like I say, it's my personal sponge. So I use it. And even I clean it. You can see I clean it. But anywho, um, I would tell them when you sponge your hair, comb it out, if not every day, at least every 2 days. Don't let it go past 3 days. Comb the hair out. Comb the hair out, please. Um, oil your scalp, shampoo your hair, use moisturizing shampoo or color treated shampoo if the hair is colored in some form. um I always give tips. It's just who I am. So that's one thing that you can do. You offer aftercare tips after they've left your presence to keep up the haircut or keep up the style, and also avail yourself to them. Hey, you got any questions? Don't hesitate to give me a call. Those are some things that I did and I still do to this day. Why? Because clients feel cared for beyond the chair. They really, really do. And oftentimes I'll text them and check on them. How's such and such doing? How's that style holding up? How's that cut holding up? If we've had to make adjustments to a particular style, or they're trying something new, how are you enjoying your new cut? How are you enjoying your new style? So I would check up on them. The third thing is time management and discipline. Balancing school, work, personal life becomes crucial in this first year. It's like anything else. You got to balance it out. Some of y'all high school students who are taking the barber program in high school, some of you may work. You got to balance out your homework. You got to balance out getting the extra cuts in, as well as working, doing homework, and whatever other chores that you have around the house that you're doing. And as an adult, you might have a family, you might have wife, children, significant other. You got to balance all of that out. I'm no different. I had to do the same thing. I told y'all about my story. When I was going through barber school, I worked with children. So I say I did full and part-time barber school. And that was one of the main reasons for choosing the school that I attended. Not only did they accept veterans there, but the gentleman, I sat with him and I talked to him about my schedule, told him that I was very, very interested in the program and that I would work hard um, if I would, if he could support me in the challenge that I face with attending school. So I was able to attend during the day. I would cut out for my work shift, which went from 2 to 6. And in the summertime, it was longer than that. But during the school year, um, my shift, because it was before and after school program, and I ran the after school program, I would go to school during the day, cut out, and then go to work, and then come back for the evening program. So I say full and part-time because full-time was during the day, part-time was at night. So I did both full and part-time because I wanted to ensure that I got all my hours. I got extra hours in case I needed them hours if I got sick or missed a day or something came up and I couldn't make it in a timely manner. So I was able to sit and talk to him about that. And hey, it worked out because I did it. I showed up and I got my I got my hours. So shout out to YPI for that. But in that, you want to balance schoolwork and personal life because it becomes crucial in the first year for those students who go through the first year. And if it goes a little longer for you, it's still going to be important. So demonstrating punctuality and preparation, even when life feels overwhelming, like I shared with you all, COVID and a number of other things, because I was still responsible for doing, creating lesson plans and stuff. We still had to go through that. I still had to do my lesson for for barbering school. Also, managing long days between classes and practice and personal obligations. So when you got that weekend off and you got a few days in between before you go back to school or before you go back to work or whatever the other obligations that you have, time management. You got to be able to have time management and exercise time management for studying, for downtime, you know, all of that. The next thing is understanding that discipline is what separates the dropouts from the graduates. Discipline is what's going to separate you from somebody that just decides, you know what, I'm not going to do this, or I'm tired, or life's lifing for me and I don't want to do this no more. The discipline is what's going to get it. You can be motivated all day, but if you're not disciplined to do it, then it's not going to get done. So that's what's going to set you apart from, that's what separates the dropout from the graduate, or those who graduate, is discipline. So you do want to arrive. I, I used to arrive early. Y'all saw in that video I was in school. I was sitting in the parking lot. I was there before the instructors. I was so excited about it because, like I say, if you haven't heard me say, I'm getting a second chance at my first love. So then and even now, it's important for me. Unless something comes up and I'm late. What we say in the military, if you on time, you late. If you 15 minutes early, you on time. And of course, if you late, you just late. All right. Why does this matter? A prepared barber stays ahead. So if you're on time, you got your assignments done. it also alleviates a lot of stress, some stress, because you still can be nervous or anxious about certain things. But overall, if you're doing things in a timely manner, you're getting them done, your assignments done, your projects done, you're spending that extra time getting in the repetition, it's going to help you out. And as we said, as I said, a prepared barber stays ahead. Another thing to do is, well, I don't know. Some people still use planners. I still write a lot of stuff down because there's something about writing it on a piece of paper, or writing it in a tablet or a composition notebook or something along those lines, or a phone calendar to block out practice hours. So I do it to this day. When I need to get something done, I set reminders, um, daily reminders. Like sometimes I forget to take my multivitamins and stuff. So to this day, I still got a timer in my phone. I pretty much remember it, but there are a few times that I forget. So set block out practice hours. You want to do that. And with that, I want to show you all some of, I meant this, I forgot to share with you all, when you build confidence in your clients and they see you, this is what you're going to see. So I show you a few from school. This young lady, I actually did a relaxer and curled the hair. So it's an old school bob curl where we stacked them in the back, and she wanted a picture. So I shared that, and she spoke some encouraging words to me as well. This is another client who had gotten their hair colored. I did the retwist on her. She was happy. So this was doing school. This was doing school. Here's a few clients. Let me rewind back. So remember when I talked about growth through repetition? Well, after I had finished, I still needed to get some reps in, because remember I said that I went through doing COVID. I still needed to get reps in. So I ended up cutting people that I know, as well as going into a homeless shelter and working there. So I got a lot of reps in, which actually helped me, and I helped them as well. So it was like, you help me, help you, and I help you, help you. So here are some of the images of some of the things that I did. Many of them knew that I could do natural hair, so I end up setting aside time to support them with lock maintenance, cornrows, braiding, whatever it was. So this is another individual that I supported. And you can see I was still growing with my haircuts. I still needed the reps to get that muscle memory, to improve my confidence, because I didn't have a whole lot of confidence in my fades, in my cutting. Um, yeah, I'm gonna just leave it at that. I didn't have a whole lot of confidence in them. So let me remove this, and I'm gonna bring in a few more pictures of some happy clients. This is a bald head and beard I did. This guy used to come all the time, and I would cut his hair. And shout out to him, because he is the reason why I not only enjoyed doing bald heads and beards, but I gained a love for it. And it's something about putting that razor on the head. So I shout out the gentleman who supported me in the early days of helping me to master and fine tune bald heads and beards. So that's what I want to share with you, bringing back in repetition and building clients' confidence. So another thing with time management, I mentioned is scheduling makes success consistent. So when you schedule, it helps to make your success consistent because you're preparing, you're intentionally setting aside time, which also assists with your repetition. Not only does it build your confidence, but it also builds the confidence of your clients in your skills as well. So, one other thing, silence your phone in class. Some instructors say that you can't have them. Some say cool, long as they don't vibrate or silent. Why does this matter? Because you want to now. Focus now because it prevents failing or falling behind later. And I know, we can't live without them. I have both my personal and business phone right here. But guess what? They on silent. Both of them are on silent. So, yeah. Anywho, um, you want to focus on the now, focus on the present, focus on what you're doing in that moment, as to prevent falling behind or failing, getting behind. Because it's in this particular, um, well, in anything where you're learning and you're gathering, excuse me, accumulating new information and getting learning new techniques and learning different things, you want to be in the moment. You hear it talked about all the time, being in the moment. Just be in the moment. Why? Because it prevents failing later. It prevents getting behind. Just be in the moment so you can catch that idea or that thought that you need to. The fourth point is preparing for state board. And before I jump into this, I got to tell y'all, I end up getting a tutor to assist me with state board because I felt like I wasn't prepared due to the whole COVID situation shut down. We didn't get a lot of floor time because everybody was homebound. So what we did was videos and, did online training and, work with our mannequins at home, you know. So I didn't get a lot of live individuals until I went back. And then when we got back, so from March to the middle of March to like the end of September, that was at home. So when we got back, so from September, October, November, December, we only had a few months to, catch up, review, and move forward with the remaining material that was left based on the schedule that we had. So in preparing for state board, I end up getting someone to assist me one-on-one. We did both practicum and theory. And I bring this up because when I was preparing, I could not find anything on YouTube specific to the state of South Carolina. I was looking at stuff in California and other videotapes, which the practicum is similar. The information is similar because we're using the same books. However, some of the guidelines and state laws vary a little bit. But for the most part, I was able to go to those sites, pull up the information that I need, and use those as inspirational and informational wise to help me with state board. But I said to myself, when I finish and I pass, that I was going to create videos to talk about state board. And what I did, I actually did 10 videos, and it's on the YouTube page, and it's entitled What's Inside the Black Bag. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up real quick and share it on the screen. Y'all give me a second here. Give me a second to pull up that channel, and I'm going to pull up the playlist so you can see it. And let's see if we can share the screen. Y'all give me a second. Let me go back here and just go to the playlist. All right. So let's go to the playlist here. How we do it? We want to share screen, and I am going to pick YouTube. Here we go. All right. So y'all, here is the list. It's this the heritage of hair. I'm sorry, I picked up the wrong one. Let me get into the playlist here. Let's get to the playlist. This is the playlist right here. This is the playlist. It's called South Carolina Barber Stylist State Board Videos. Even though it says Barber Stylist, however, the first 5 videos of universal supplies, haircutting supplies, shaving and straight razor, blood exposure supplies, those of you who are taking the barber portion can use those videos as tips. So I actually went through this. First one is dealing with hair cutting. I have a few others. This is what the actual cover looks like. It says South Carolina Barber Styling State Board Kit, What's Inside the Black Bag. And I go through each section. I also have a video for tips on taking the practicum and the theory. So I share what I learned doing those sessions. So if you're looking for assistance as a South Carolina state, let's see here. I think TikTok is kicking me off. All right. TikTok is in there. Hold on, y'all. Oh, you see, I got a few minutes. But nonetheless, I have videos set aside to assist you with preparing for state board. And in those videos, I share the what's inside the black bag for that particular section. Like this one was hair supplies or cutting supplies. And I share what I needed, what was required for that section. I talk about where I got it from. You know, I also share some tips and pointers. Where I got it from, I talk about not bringing razors, just some do's and don'ts, but it's very informative. And I did 10 of them total. So for those of you who are interested in finding information in reference to South Carolina State Board, what's inside the black bag will help you. It's 10 videos. I give tips. I share my mishaps. I share info from the practicum and the theory exam and how I prep. But getting into that, the first year sets the stage for your exam. I would suggest you start preparing day one. Because it'll soon creep up on you and you'll be like, it's time to take state board. Yes. Yes. So learning the written material, the laws of science and sanitation. That's just a quick overview. You're going to learn about the laws, the science of barbering, the art as well, and then sanitation, which is big. It's a big part of what you do. You're dealing with the public, so you got to be able to protect the health, the public's, the health, safety, and welfare of the public. Practicing the hands-on portion under time conditions. I talk about that in those videos. Once again, I will add a link um, to those videos in this so that you'll be able to access them. However, there are 10 videos total, two videos about tips for the practicum and the theory, and the other 8 are for each section of the Barber Stylist, i.e. Master Hair Care State Board. There are 8 parts to that. Universal supplies, hair cutting supplies, shaving and straight razor supplies, blood exposure supplies, chemical waving supplies, predisposition and strand test supplies, chemical relaxer supplies, and hair color supplies. I talk about all of those things in each of those videos separately. It's labeled. As I said before, it's 10 of them, 2 tips, the other one dealing with the supplies for those particular sections. But you want to practice the hands-on portion under time conditions because you are going to be timed. So like the haircutting section is 40 minutes. Then you got, I don't remember all the times for the sections, but they are timed. And they will let you know how much time you got remaining. But nonetheless, I give you some points about being mindful of the time with that and how to know that you've went through everything by what you have placed on the table. Check out the videos. That's all I say. Also, recognizing the importance of consistency over cramming. I talk about that in my tip video dealing with the theory portion of prepping for the theory exam. I do talk about it with practicum because I did have a schedule where I practiced once a week in the very beginning. Then we eventually got to like 3 times a week leading up to the actual practicum exam. So every week in the beginning before I took my theory exam, I would have to do 100 questions. My mentor told me that I had to make a 80 or better, not a 70, because he believed that doing a 70 set you up for failure. And not so much failure, but it didn't give you a buffer. So he said 80 and above. And actually, I did better than that because he gave me 100 questions that I had to complete those questions every week and take them back to him. My day was Sunday. I had to get them to him on Sunday, and I would get another, what they call it, vanilla envelope or manila envelope, whatever you want to call it, with new questions in it that I had to take home and study for the next week and bring it back, have it graded, swap it out for the next set of questions. And I did that every week, every week. But nonetheless, recognizing the importance of consistency, meaning setting aside a schedule so that you're not cramming in the end. Because what happens when you begin to do that and you're cramming in the end, it causes anxiety. You start to forget stuff. It just doesn't work in your favor. I'm going to say that. Some people work better under pressure, but due to the material and the vast amount of information that you need to know to prepare for the state board, it's best that you break it down in small sections and go from there. I talk about that in the tips video. So do this. Do study. If you only got 10, 15 minutes, do it on a consistent basis. I did a little something every day, but if you can't do a little something every day, set aside some time during the week. Why does this matter? Small sessions beat cramming any day. Small sessions beat cramming any day. Do this. Run time practices. Test on a regular basis. If you have some time, like say you start to study in the beginning, early on in school, then time yourself, I don't know, maybe once a month, twice a month. But do time yourself so that you get used to working under those time constraints, because you are going to have them for state board. Why does this matter? Confidence grows under pressure. It grows under pressure. But if you cram, your confidence gonna crash under pressure. I talk about that too in the video, where when they said you had 20 minutes remaining on my mannequin head, I was still trying to get the cut down. And I was like, oh, I got to get my neck shave in. And I told myself, you got to get this neck shave in within the next 10 minutes. Because if we didn't get the neck shave in, it's an automatic fail. So when they said you have 20 minutes remaining, even though my haircut, yeah, I don't know what it looked like, but yeah. So I said, okay, Yataye, prepare to do your neck shave within these first 10 minutes. Once I got that neck shave done, then I went back to doing what I needed to do to make sure I had the rest of this head cut. And I used all the methods that were required: clip over comb, shear over fingers, all of those different things. Guard on, guard off, yeah. So I just made sure that I had all of those steps done. And I'm going to tell y'all something. So when I was doing it, and I talked, my mentor and I, we talked about it. When I got to certain points in the head, I actually, clippers, no guard, clipper open, guard, okay, clip over comb, shear over fingers. I just, okay, Yataye, did you do this? Did you do this? You up here, did you do this? So that's how I remembered how to ensure that I got all the different points that we needed to have in order to ensure that I touched all of them. So once again, you want to run time practices and tests monthly if you got time, twice a month, and probably more times as you're getting closer. Or if you feel confident, you might not need to practice as much. But either way, you want to run time tests, okay? Another thing to do is I did use it's like an online flashcard thing. I forget the thing. One of my instructors told us that we could use. It's an app that you can go and do like similar to flashcards, where they give you a multiple choice and you have to read it and answer it. It's similar to the little exam book they give you with the questions and answers in the back. But on this here, it was actually a app that we use. I can't think of it for the life of me. When I find it, I'll put it in the comments. So trade flashcards with a classmate, or get with a classmate to study. My barber and I, we studied together. I did have study sessions with myself where I set aside time to study. And sometimes during class, when we had, a little bit of downtime, we all would study together as well. So group study makes the info sink in. You can bounce off information. Somebody might be stronger at something, or you might be stronger at another subject than another person. You all can support each other from that perspective. Now, the last point that I want to make is building your professional identity. The year one is when you actually start defining your barbering journey. So even while you were in school, our instructor would talk to us about, different things that we may want to think about considering or being um, known for. Like some people are known for ball fades, whether they be high, medium, or low. They can do them really well. Drop fades, or even doing, like for me, bald heads and beards. You know, I still do them to this day. I love them. But as I mentioned before, that first year is when you start defining your barbering journey. Where do you want to be? What do you want to do? How do you want to do it? And what I mean by that is finding the styles and services you enjoy most. For me, I knew that as a barber stylist or master hair care, that I wanted to specialize in textured hair care, but that I could do everything. But that was my specialty. I knew that going in because that's what I wanted to do. Locks, braids, cornrows, twists, those types of things, all under the auspice of textured hair care. So I was already kind of defining my service areas, you know. Another thing is building relationships with your classmates and instructors. I still have relationships with a good portion of my classmates. As a matter of fact, I saw one of them in Home Depot last, was it Wednesday? I saw him in Home Depot Wednesday, and I just walked up to him and tapped him on the shoulder. um, it's an older gentleman, and he was so surprised to see me. I was like, "Hey, how you doing? What you doing in here?" He was buying up a bunch of products, but we got a chance to talk. I still, keep up with them and my instructors too. I pick up the phone and call us, go over and see them. If I have questions or I want to know something, or whatever the case may be, I've maintained those relationships with them. So, starting to see yourself as not a student, but as a professional in training. You carry yourself as a professional. You operate as a professional. You become that professional, even as a student. Remember what I said in 32, that your presentation, that shows who you are, and you are your business. In this industry, you are your business. So start seeing yourself not as a student, but as a professional in training, a future barber professional, or a future barber stylist or master hair care professional. You do want to try different cuts and styles, to vary what it is that you're able to do, especially those things that you don't feel that you're good at. You want to maximize your repetition and enhance your skill set with those different styles and cuts. Why? Because guess what? You discover what you most enjoy. You discover what you most enjoy. The next do is post your work, even on mannequins. You want to keep a running, I guess you could say, what we call it back then, a portfolio. Now you got Instagram. However you use to capture your images, you want to capture them, one, because you want to see your progress, you want to see your growth. And then when you begin to talk with potential clients, you got work to show them. I can flip in my phone right now, and as I shared with you all before, I got categories: locks, color picks for hair color, um, natural hairstyles, extension work, comb coils, um, cornrows, locks, twists, box braids. I got something that I can show them in every section. So You want to collect that information so that you can show potential clients your work. Why? Early branding builds your reputation. It builds your reputation. So that's part of you branding, being able to show your work. Do this. Ask at least one question of every instructor or guest. And you know what? To this day, I still do. I ask questions. I do that, especially when it comes down to the client returning it. If they've gotten a new style or a new cut, I ask them, how did that work? Did you have any challenges with it? Because I want to know. And if there is a problem, um, some people may not tell you. Better yet, they may not even come back to you. So if you don't ask, you don't know. By asking, and asking questions of your instructors and guests, guess what? Networking open doors to your careers. You just never know. Not only do you learn from your mistakes, you learn what works and what doesn't work. You begin to network, you expand your reach, you expand those who you touch and come in contact with. So, as for episode number 35, I know it was a lot of information. I feel like I was just kind of pouring it out, but it was a lot that I wanted to share as it relates to the first year. And as I said, many of you, it may just be 1 year. Others, it may be a little over a year, depending on if you're doing OJT, if you're taking barbering in high school. More than likely, it's a 2-year program, and for some, it may be 3 if they start in the 10th grade. The most of the programs that I know start in the 11th and 12th. Well, the 11th grade definitely, and it continues on to the 12th grade. And if you're out in the community at a local academy, institute, school, or a local state-run program that offers barbering and or master hair care, then depending on if you're going full-time or part-time, you could be going as short as 10 months, 9 months, or as long as 18 months, 19 months, depending on your hours. If you're missing hours and you got to recoup them hours, you got to make up for them hours. But just know, when you miss classes, you miss hours, that sets you back. If you're receiving state funding or any type of financial support to go through the program, if it's state run, and you do get Pell Grant or some type of federal assistance for the program, if you're not keeping up with your hours, it's going to mess you up. And you might be owing some money. And if you're footing it out of your own pocket, well, I pray that you're not wasting your own time and your own money with the program, and that you are committed, as we talked about before, and you're serious about it. Um, it's a game changer. We touch lives, we change lives. We do a lot with those shears, clippers, and the comb. We do a lot with this. We create magic. We boost self-esteem. We're coaches. We're encouragers. We're life changers. I got to tell y'all this. I had a young lady that I was cutting her hair today, and she didn't talk in the beginning. She was very uh, introvert, and I don't force the conversation in talking. However, um, I started talking to her. Asked her what grade. I just threw out high school because I presumed that she was a high schooler. But nonetheless, she wasn't a high schooler. She was a sixth grader. So instantly, I know about the transition from fifth grade to sixth grade, and we know about it for those of us who, who made it through. You know what I'm saying? But I talked to her, asked her what was it like, what were some of the challenges, and next thing I know, she opened up. And because she was going from very long hair to very short hair, I also walked her through the process, showed her what we were doing, let her know what was going on, as to involve her in the process. And guess what? She went from not talking to talking, which I didn't mind, but it was amazing to see the transformation in someone who was very, very reserved, almost shy, timid, to we conversating and having a good time, and she's understanding her haircut, knowing what's going on, and at the end she was happy, and so was I. But nonetheless, we changed lives. All right. So once again, for this episode number 35, Beyond the Basics, what to expect in your first year of barber school, we talked about time management and discipline, balancing school, work, and personal life. This becomes crucial in the first year, just in general. We also talked about, let me skip. That was number 3. Number 1 was growth and repetition. We talked about repetition, getting in those reps, whether it's through your mannequin head, cutting family and friends. In my case, I did some additional work at the homeless shelter, and we talked about why it's important. Building clientele confidence. The first year when when you start cutting real people regularly, that's going to become important, not only for them, but for you too as well. Because as you begin to communicate more effectively with your clients, that's going to build their hair expectations and also build the relationship as well. Number 3, we talked about time management and discipline, and how balancing, once again, schoolwork and personal life becomes crucial during that time and even afterwards. Number 4, we talked about preparing for state board. I would suggest you start prepping from day one, because that year is going to fly by real quick. And before you know it, you're going to be right at state board, which school does that. But you want to be conscious of prepping, because if you do it on the front end, you won't have to cram on the back end and cause yourself a lot of stress and heartache. All right. Number 5 was about building your personal identity. Year 1 is when you start defining your barbering journey. What services you want to offer? What do you enjoy? Building relationships, not only with your instructors and classmates, but your clients as well. Ultimately, transforming yourself from a student to a professional in training. All right. So your first year barber school is not about being the best barber yet. It's about becoming disciplined, confident, and consistent. Remember that. Disciplined, confident, and consistent. Every mistake is a lesson. Remember, I shared with you all that my instructor said there are really no mistakes. It's just an unfinished cut. Yeah, you can make mistakes, but all in all, it's an unfinished cut, or the cut may be transformed to something else because there was a mishap that happened. Like I told y'all today, my little one moved, and instead of a drop fade, we had to go up a little higher to like a mid fade. It wasn't drop fade, it's a mid fade. But nonetheless, he still got his 2 lines, and we carried on. So remember, it's about becoming disciplined, confident, and consistent. Every mistake is a lesson. Every cut builds your hands, your muscle memory, and every day prepares you for the industry. Okay. If this have been useful to you, do check out series episode number 31, episode 32, and catch episode 25. Why I'm saying 25? I don't even remember what 25 was. Anywho, 35. These give you clear roadmaps for considering barbering school, thriving in the first month, and staying strong throughout your first year. Prayerfully, this is this episode has provided you with some insight, some key points to help you get through that first year. It's not the end all be all. These are just some things that I thought were very important as it relates to the first year of barbering school. Don't forget to subscribe to Female Barber Talk with Yah-Tay. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook at Yah-Tay the Barber Stylist. And grab your copy of my award-winning book, 3-time award-winning book, A Heritage of Hair. If you are viewing from Instagram, just click the link. It'll take you right to the Amazon page. If you're viewing from YouTube and Facebook or any other platform, you can find it on Amazon at A Heritage of Hair. If you're viewing from my platforms of Real Roots TV or Facebook, just scan the QR code and the banner. And even on my personal page, scan the QR code and it'll take you right to it. So this is the award-winning book, A Heritage of Hair. This is for more inspiration on my legacy, purpose, and my barbering journey, how I got a second chance at my first love. I talk about that in here, a life-changing event that threw me for a loop. But in that downtime, I said, okay, I surrender if you make a way. You make a way for me to get the training, I'll do it, God. But until next time, keep learning, keep building, and keep sharpening your craft. I'm Yataye Keaton, also known as Yah-Tay the Barber Stylist. This has been episode number 35 of Female Barber Talk with Yah-Tay, Beyond the Basics, what to expect in your first year of barber school. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and leave me some comments. Share with me if there's something that you'd like for me to bring. More special guests are coming. More information of me sharing important topics is coming. And who knows what else is coming. But thank you all for joining. I greatly appreciate it. If you're catching this on the replay, thank you for taking time out of your day to replay this podcast. Female Barber Talk with Yah-Tay, episode number 35, Beyond the Basics, what to expect in that first year of barbering school. Take care until next time. I'm out.
Naturals.